Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, the Two Opinionated podcast could really use your help. And it's easy, it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. We came in at number 82. That's a big deal because there's 15 million podcasts and growing. So to be named to anybody's top 100 list, pretty big deal for us. And the way you can help is to go to imdb.com, look up the Two Opinionated podcast, and that's it. Just bringing our page up. That traffic really helps us out. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. All we ask is that you subscribe. It's also free, but that really helps us to attract these amazing guests that we keep bringing on the program. And that's it. Two easy ways for you to support us, and we would really appreciate the help. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Two Opinionated. I'm so excited. Today I get to welcome back Hall of Fame musician David Sancious with me. So welcome, David. Well, we immediately froze up. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Two Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got Hall of Fame musician David Sancious with me. So welcome, David.
Thank you. It's nice to be with you, man.
It's if you can believe it, it's been a couple years since we talked. I think you were doing Eyes Wide Open the last time we spoke.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Must have been there. Yeah.
That went by fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of mean time is quite where I am. But yeah, the time just seems to be moving right along. It's
That's
very
moving pretty good. So
it's a-
let's talk a little bit about what's been going on the last couple of years. Have
yeah.
you been have you gotten a chance to tour? Have you been out playing?
No, I haven't been out playing. I've been either well, last year and year before that, I did a bunch of session work on the mainland.
Oh
I
yeah.
did yeah, I did some sessions for Bruce Springsteen,
Oh,
and I
that
did
guy.
yeah, that guy. And uh, this my project called Open Secret, which we're about to tour with Will Calhoun
Yeah, yeah, from In
from
the
Living.
Living Color.
Yeah, so we have a tour. It's kind of brief. It starts on the 1st of May,
Yeah.
and I think it's about 7 or 8 shows. It's on the East Coast. If you go to my website, therealdavidsanctions.com, the dates are all posted and all information about how to get tickets and stuff.
Is there
So
a
we're
fake
excited
David
about.
Sancious?
There's a few apparently.
Okay.
Apparently
Okay.
there's yeah, or
That's
they
how you
were.
know
There
you
were.
made it. If there's
Yeah.
a bunch of invitation accounts out there.
You know, I remember, I mean, years ago when Sting was doing his site, he had to come up with the real Sting because there were like three or four people, you know. But anyway, yeah, apparently. But this new site is really good. It's very solid. It's really me. And it's just telling you what's been going on musically, like since Eyes Wide Open. The
Yeah.
new project I'm working on is called The Ghost of Jim Crow.
Yeah,
And
I like the title, but obviously that title comes with a lot behind it.
it's
What inspired you to go with that title? Is that tied directly to the music, or is it something else?
Well, it's tied to the fact that I see that energy
Yeah,
returning to our society. Not that it ever completely left, but it certainly was.
we were
Uh,
making some progress though.
we're, we're making tremendous progress,
Yeah,
and we still are in some ways. But there's an ideological struggle in our
yeah,
country. It's very strange. Um, so it's about that. It's just like what I see going on in society. Um, some of it's about things that have happened to me, but it's more
yes,
like what's happening in general to other people. It's not so personal,
yeah,
uh, and I wanna call it out. I want to say what I feel about it as an energy and how false and destructive it is in our society. And so that's really it. And again, there's just so much going on politically. We'd have to do a whole other
oh, it'd be a whole
situation.
show. Yeah, 100%,
Yeah,
100%.
it
But
was,
I think a
great.
lot of us have that uneasiness, you know,
Yeah,
that fear that we're going the wrong direction. You know, we're falling
yeah,
back decades, honestly, where we've worked so hard to get to this point, and now you know we're kind of feel like we're backsliding a little bit. So I get that. Seems like a timely time for this album. Are
mhm.
you still working on it, or do you have it all
Oh,
finished?
very much.
Just kind of,
No, we're doing something different with this particular project.
yeah,
Normally, every other record I've put out, I've sort of completed it as a body of work.
yeah,
However many songs there were, whether it was instrumental or vocal based or whatever, I've just completed it and released it all at once. But because of the way the internet works and because of the way the digitization of music works and everything, I have been advised and by my by my management, and it's good advice. These projects, we're going to release each song individually,
yeah,
and it doesn't. What happened with Eyes Wide Open was within about 2 weeks of it being out, not even, suddenly some fan had posted it on the internet in full and just it posted the entire album. It was
yeah,
just there to download, you know. So that's the end of you, of whatever part of your making a living was going to
yeah.
be from members of that record. So, and that's subject to everyone now. It's just a different thing.
Well, it's you know that's it's uh, because we operate digitally now. That's such a
Exactly.
concern for any
Yes.
of us that are kind of operating in that space because it's
Yeah.
so easy to lose control of your own material.
Totally. Totally. So what we're doing is we're releasing one song at a time. We
Yeah,
released the first song November of last year. It was released just before the election,
oh, very
and
good.
it's called "Why Must It Be So?"
Yeah,
And
what's this one about? I've heard it. It's terrific, but what's this one about?
again, it's a comment on different levels of society. We could
Yeah,
say we broke it up into um, what's going on personally with people, what's going on politically, um, but it addresses everything from like why do families have such a hard time making a living and just carrying on with their lives. Why are people so put upon? Why is it that the people least capable of doing anything have the most responsibility? Why is it that people in the lower income brackets pay more taxes than people who can easily afford it?
yeah.
It's just it's kind of why is it that way? Why must it be that way? And the answer is it doesn't really have to be that
It
way.
does not.
It is that way right now. It doesn't have to be that way for all eternity. And and I think there's a movement of people who are sort of fed up with. What's really frustrating? I mean, I voted democratically all my life. I was registered as an independent when I lived in New York State.
Yeah.
I live in Hawaii, and you don't have to register as anything in the state of Hawaii. You just can vote. It's not like that. But I was a registered independent, but I voted Democratic. And I've always believed in the principles and the ideals of the Democratic Party and how historically they have stood for what is socially and ethically and morally correct. For
That's
in
right.
mass for
Yeah.
has hasn't been a party of self interest in that way. But after the election loss, a whole kind of malaise has set in. That I think people are just not just beginning to recover from the energy, the sadness, and the disappointment of losing the election to Donald Trump, but just the motivation and how do we go forward with this now? Because frankly, it's very challenging. It's very challenging to stay aware of it without being overwhelmed by
Well,
it.
that's right. Because it can be very discouraging. It can be overwhelming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So you know,
I love the idea behind the album because it's such an important subject for us right now, and I like you releasing it one at a time. It kind of reminds me of appointment television back in the day. You get one episode,
yeah,
and then you got to wait before the
you
next
gotta
one
wait.
comes out. So
Yeah,
that's kind of
yeah.
how we're doing it.
That's kind of the idea. And when we release these, we'll release like what we call a tease version, which is not the whole song. It's
Oh,
about
okay.
a minute and a half or more of the song so that you can figure out, well, hey, in fact, I'd like to hear the rest of it. And then you can download it. You can get it as a digital download. So that's what we've done. We did Why Must It Be So in November. The next song about to be released, if I can do, I've got one kind of guitar overdub to do this weekend. Uh, and it'll be done. We'll release it, next week sometime. Like maybe within the next 7 or 10 days or something.
What's it
Uh,
called?
that's called Now We Dream.
Oh, okay.
And that one is more of a collection about, again, what's happening politically, but also what's happening naturally.
Yeah.
What's going on our planet and nature, all the severe weather all over the planet. We sort of address that and make people aware of that in the sort of intro of the song. But then also it speaks about the unusual events and the sort of sightings by people
Yeah.
and potential contact with extraterrestrial life. It also addresses that in both the intro of the song and
Well,
it's
that's a wide
at the
range
very
there.
outro. It is a pretty wide range, but yeah, that's what that one's about. I'm very excited about. I'm happy to finish it. I'm weeks behind. I'm very
What
literally weeks behind it.
what are the different instruments that you're playing on the album?
On this one, I'm playing keyboards and guitars. I'm doing vocals, and there's one track where I'm playing bass on it. But I've got help from some other musicians. Tony Levin, bassist from Peter Gabriel and a lot of other projects. Tony Levin is on bass on the first release on Why Must It Be So. And a brilliant drummer named Tony Smith, Tony Thundersmith is his nickname, is playing drums on it. He also used to play a lot with Lou Reed.
Oh,
Play,
really?
he's a fantastic drummer, percussionist.
When you're working on an idea or a project,
Mhm.
is that part of the fun part? Is putting together the band that gets to kind of record it?
Absolutely, absolutely, it is fun. And what I have traditionally done throughout the years is when I have a break on touring with someone, if I'm say I'm working on a project, for a lot of years I toured with Sting for about 5 years consecutive,
Yeah,
and then I had a break. I went back to touring with Peter Gabriel for a while, and then I went back to Sting. But in these breaks between when you could time wise do it and financially afford it, I would fly musicians in, guys that I had met, either people I was working with
yeah,
currently or people that we wanted to work together. And I had a very large space in Woodstock, New York, enough space for a pretty large recording
yeah.
studio. And that's
You
what we would
didn't you
do.
didn't ask them if they just wanted to come visit you in Hawaii? They may have wanted to come out there.
Oh, no, no, no. I'm talking about what I had in Woodstock before I moved here. We
Oh,
have
okay,
a
okay, okay.
whole
That's the way in
other
the past. Yeah,
situation in Hawaii.
yeah, yeah,
People have to, but yeah, and that is part of the fun. You get in contact with people that you want to work with and want to work with you,
yeah.
and you all get together and flesh it out. Pretty nicely. It really is part of it, the fun, the
Well,
whole
I would
project.
assume, and I'm not musical, but my family is, and my stepson, I think I told you last time he can play any instrument. He's constantly releasing music, and he does all of it by himself. So and then he just layers it together. So uh, pretty exciting.
Right.
But to me, actually getting to choose who I want to work with and pick the professionals
Mm,
and people that maybe I like their style and stuff, that would be the fun part. As much as the creative
yeah,
side, doing it yourself,
it,
that would be great. But I'd love just choosing the people I want to work with. I think that'd be the best.
it is. I
Yeah,
mean, that's part of the fun of it. It's also as part of the fun of being in a band of playing live. It's because you have it. You go through the process. If you're going to do a tour, like, okay, we're going to tour and starting on May 1st for about, I think it's like a 2 week period, maybe a little bit more.
yeah,
But we're going to get together for like 3 days before we even hit a stage. We're going to have rehearsal and conversations and hang out and talk and throw ideas out and everything. And that's part of it. And then when we start, every night's going to be a little different. So whatever we play on the first night, that's the first night. But they're not a note for note repetition
Yeah.
of the previous show. There's an excitement, there's a lot of spontaneity. And Will and I, this Open Secret project, a lot of what we do is based on improvisation. So we're improvising live. We also play proper song structures, songs that Will has written, and then he'll show to me, and we'll work out arrangement. There's a few songs that I've written, I'll show it to him, and we'll work out arrangement. But
Yeah.
the better part of it, the better part of it is ideas that we sort of spontaneously come up with live. We end up creating. It's to me, it sounds like film music.
I was gonna
You
say,
know,
yeah, I never thought about improv with music, but I guess that's pretty prominent when you're like
yeah,
doing jam sessions and something. You're kind of improvising
yeah.
those.
I don't know if the management sent you any audio clips of that stuff of the Open Secret. There's two examples
They
of
did, yep,
Open Secret. Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
there's one called the Vest, which is very very atmospheric and totally cinematic. And the other example is called Big Beat. That's what we end the show with, and it's really just really hardcore.
That's amazing.
Um,
Yeah, you want something
Brings
fast
people.
at the end. Get everybody pumped up before they leave.
Oh, yeah. It starts big and it ends big. It really does. Our first song is pretty dynamic, and then we do what we do, and it ends with a bang for sure.
That's amazing. What's the significance behind the name?
Oh, behind Open Secret,
Yeah, yeah,
the significance the significance is, I should have had the book in Parsons, and I read this. He's a British gentleman who had an experience in consciousness happen to him
yeah,
one day while he was walking through the park. But it was a major expansion of his consciousness. And I won't do justice to the book by trying to describe it, but I highly recommend that you check it out. Again, you can order it from Amazon or any place you order
yeah.
books. And it's called The Open Secret by Tony Parsons. And I'm telling you, if you get this book, the very first page will stop you in your tracks. And
Really?
somebody gave it to Will. I gave it to Will, and we were talking about the project, and I said how I'd like to structure it and how open I'd like it to be. And I had read this book. I read it a couple years ago before we moved from Woodstock to Hawaii. It made a huge impression on me. So talking to Will, I gave it to Will, and he read it without putting it down. I read it, but first page blew my mind. I had to put it down and keep coming back to it.
Well,
It's
what's
not a very
grabbing you about it? What's the secret?
It's the quality of what he's talking about. It's the concept of what consciousness is, and uh, it's a thin book. No one would be afraid of it. It's an easy read. It's not technical language.
Yeah.
It is not. It's not religious in any way. It's not about Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, Muslim. It's not about religion. It's about consciousness itself and our relationship to it and how we experience it. And I mean, it's a very thin book, man,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's
I'm gonna have to read that.
and he's written several other books, but I highly recommend. That was the first one that he came out with
Yeah,
after he had this experience. So I highly recommend starting there, and then if that resonates with you or anyone else, then check out the other books that he's written because
yeah.
they're very.
Well, it obviously resonated with you, or you wouldn't be going on tour.
No.
I saw you had a piano dedication coming up.
Yeah, that's going to be on the 3rd of May in Belmar, New Jersey, my hometown.
Very
And what they
nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's an honor. They have decided to they purchased this weatherproof piano
Yeah.
that that lives in the town square, and they're dedicating it to myself and my mom and my family actually, because we were my mom especially not only a supporter of me as a musician to become the person I became, but in those early days when the band was trying to get together, she gave us a place to rehearse. Sometimes, it was an early supporter of what we were trying to do. So, but it's a very nice thing from the town of Belmar, from the Belmar Arts Council, and
That's
it's going to
amazing.
be about a 2 hour. Yeah, it's going to be 3rd of May for about 2 hours. I think it's going to start at 2 in the afternoon, and I'm going to perform some songs on piano. We're going to have a classical pianist play some of my mother's favorite selections, like some Debussy and Chopin.
Yeah.
Uh, we're going to have a small gospel choir sing a few pieces that my mom would have loved. And then I'm going to end up playing by myself for about 3 or 4 selections. And then it's going to become a jam session with myself, Ernest Carter from my band Tone
Yep.
is going to come and be a part of it. We're going to play some stuff together.
What a
And
great day.
some other local musicians from Asbury Park that, that we grew up with and worked with. So,
Well,
yeah.
so are you basically just getting like all your friends together?
Yeah, some of them, not quite all of them, but
Yeah.
the friends from that area. It's going to be, it's a small town, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be in the town square in the middle of the day. So, but it should be a
No,
nice event.
what a great day. What a
Yeah,
great day. That
good.
that's one of those days that you just enjoy the heck out of it, and at the end of it, you're just exhausted.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a good time, and then we're all gonna have a nice meal together somewhere in town, and then that's it. Actually, the next day after that, I've got to get back on the road because our second concert of the tour is in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So I got to get myself on a train from New Jersey to Pennsylvania, carry on with the rest of the tour. But
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to all of it. I
You
really
got you
am.
got a busy summer planned.
Yeah, yeah. There's a few things going on. Yeah.
Was there was there an instrument that you always wanted to play that you've never tried, or have you tried all of them that you wanted to?
I've tried all of them that I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's instruments that I can't play that I have no interest in learning how to play. Like for
Yeah.
instance,
Well,
I'm
what's
not.
what's the instrument that gave you the most trouble, but you play it okay now?
The instrument that gave me the most trouble. Gosh, to play well.
I don't think you've had too much trouble with any of
Well, I was going to say I never looked at it as like the instrument giving me trouble. I don't,
them.
I don't have that perspective. It's always
Well,
like,
that's coming from a non-musician. Be like,
yeah,
this thing's giving me trouble. I can't play it.
no, no, it's not. It's not the thing. It's just, yeah, how deep are you into it? So, and I so enjoy each instrument. I love playing keyboards. I love playing guitar. I really enjoy singing, but each thing is so different that there's no need to compare them. I enjoy guitar playing for what that is. I enjoy the challenge of it. I see the vast difference of it physically between playing a piano. You're dealing with 88 notes, a repetition of a set of 12. But then with the guitar, you got six individual strings. You can only play six notes at a time, maximum. There's
Right.
all these, there's limitations that are interesting. They don't become like, oh, damn, I wish I could do that. It's just a way in to appreciate the instrument for what it is on its own.
Yeah, you kind of learn the ins and outs of it.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
that in itself.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting. I kind of assumed that you had probably tried all of them that you wanted to that you had any interest in.
Yeah, when I was young, my mom, again, she was such a great supporter of me. We went through a period after we moved from Asbury Park to Belmar. I think I was about 5 years old, 6 years old, and I did go through a period of wanting to try other stuff. So there was a music store in Freehold called Freehold Music, and my mom would put me in the car, and I told her one time, "Well, I want to learn how to play the violin." I was interested in violin,
Yeah.
and you could rent an instrument then, without buying it. You could go to this place and rent a violin for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, or whatever. And she rented a violin for me, and and I was already playing piano then. I was starting to get my way, together with piano, playing some classical pieces and all that kind of stuff. And I started working on the violin. And I remember there was this was around the time, I don't want to date myself, but I probably would have to. Um, I got to a certain point with it, and I realized that I wasn't going to put the kind of energy into it that I would have to in order to be as good as I wanted to be.
Right.
Because there's only so much in, there's only so much time, and I was really making progress on piano. I knew how much that takes, and I was already into guitar, and okay, I understand what that takes. And I got what I did get, which was satisfying. I learned how to play a couple of riffs from Mahavishnu Orchestra. And I thought, remember that music on violin. And I go, that's good enough. That's enough for me. And I stopped and gave the violin back to the place and all that.
Well,
And then
so
one
the
time
only
she
thing
rented,
really holding you back as far as playing a certain instrument is just desire. If you want to play it and put the time into
yeah,
it, you can probably play it.
that's all it is to it. Whatever you find that to, any instrument. Yeah, it's just you have to really love it and want to go through the work. And it's really satisfying. At some point, if you really love it, you're not looking at it as, oh, this is hard work, all
Right.
these exercises and all this study. No, you're fascinated by getting better at it. And you can hear and see yourself getting better. And that is its own reward.
Well, and that's kind of just as people, that's what we do.
Yeah,
Whatever it is, we find things we like and then we just work to get better at them.
yeah, that's it.
When you sit down to write, how do you start? Is it did a note pop in your head? Is it an idea? How do you just start to write?
It's as simple as that. You just the first touch of the instrument is your way in. So I basically what I don't do, I don't go to it with a lot of thought. I don't
Okay.
think about it. I just feel it.
Yeah.
So I would sit down. Usually when I come in the studio, I'll get the crank up the studio and start. And I might play something on piano, but I'll just literally play the piano without thinking about what I'm playing. You just start touching it. And the first note or the first chord or whatever, that's leads you into the next thing. It's more like you're stepping into a stream that's always flowing,
Yeah. I
and
like
you've
that. Yeah.
started to,
Yeah, because the
yeah,
music's always there.
yeah, exactly. And you just are deciding to like, well, I'm in it now, and it's like, and I swear to you, one of my favorite things to do in the water, when I get in the water here in Hawaii, is I love to just like float on my back and look at the sky and just relax, and just be there. The sense of like relief and relaxation and it's so easy. It's the easiest thing. That's more of an analogy for me about how what music is. Just bring yourself to it, and it's there. And I swear to God, if guitar is in the other room now, but if I was to just pick the thing up and start playing it, I would automatically lead me to something, you
Yeah, I
know?
love that.
It's
I love the
really,
creativity with that. Because you're just you're just kind of going where the music takes you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really it. The music is taking so-called you somewhere, you know,
Yeah, I
and
love
our
that.
yeah, it transcends identity. Any creative thing. The only other thing I've ever lost myself in like that, meaning lose myself, meaning I'm so involved in this thing, this music, whatever I'm doing. I'm so involved in it that I lose my sense of time.
Yeah.
You lose your sense of identity. You're not thinking, and time goes by. The only the only other practice, the thing I've done where I've lost myself like that, is painting.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because I kind of remembered that you painted because my wife paints and
Mhm.
and I watch her. She'll start painting it, certain mornings, and I might as well just go do something for the day because I'll come back in the evening. She's still sitting there. She just in it, and
Yeah,
just that has no idea that it's dark out. You know.
yeah. I haven't painted it in a while. Really, since we moved here, but I did a lot back in Woodstock for a while. But again, write books, anything creative you can name, I think that energy is there. That if you love it, if your spirit resonates with it, then
I think
there you
that's the
go.
key
It's
for
all right there.
creativity. You got to resonate with it. You gotta feel it a
Yeah,
little bit to be inspired to stay in it long enough to complete
that's good. Yeah, exactly.
it. Is there anybody left that you still need to play with that you haven't got to yet?
Oh boy, there's so many good musicians.
There's a lot of them out
Mm,
there.
Grief.
I mean, who was your person growing up? Who was your if you sat down to listen to music, who were you listening to? I know
Well,
it's everybody now, but
most of the people that I would answer that they're dead now.
yeah.
I'd have to say, if Jimi Hendrix would not have died when he died at that early age, I would have loved to be in a band with Jimi Hendrix. I would have camped out on his doorstep and like begged him to like, man, let me be in your band because what that just would have been incredible. It would have been outrageous.
That would have been incredible. I
Yeah.
talked to a filmmaker. He just did a documentary, and I've forgotten you probably would know her. There's an album out there called the Guitar Album. I don't know if you
Okay.
know this album. And there's a woman that plays on this album. She's the only woman on the album. But
Huh.
this filmmaker, he made a documentary about her, and it starts with she just playing in Greenwich Village in a bar, and she's up there, playing her guitar and singing. And a gentleman comes up to her and asks if he can sit in with her, and she let him. Well, that turned out to be Jimi Hendrix, and he spent the whole week just jamming with her, and then he took her on tour with him. So that's kind of
Okay.
how she became. I wish I could. The names just escaped me, but then that's how she became famous.
Wow.
That
Wow.
was touring
It's,
with him. Could
magic,
you
magic.
imagine just playing in a
Magic.
bar and you're unknown, you're just you're just in a bar and
Yeah,
Jimi Hendrix comes up to play with you.
yeah, that would blow your mind,
It'd probably
as
be
he
like
used to
being in a
say.
bar and David Sancious coming up and playing with you.
I don't know, but yeah, that would have blown my mind for sure. It would have been
Yeah.
incredible.
Well, he was
But
what a
yeah,
talent.
again, it's special. It's just super special. And it seems to be every now and then that nature raises up some super super unique talent to
Yeah.
to do more. But what they end up doing, what they end up leaving behind is fantastic.
Yeah, they burn bright but fast.
That's
So the Ghost of Jim Crow, the music on it, I know it's telling a little bit of a story. Does it end hopefully? Does it end with like this is we're dealing with all this, but
yeah.
here's what's coming?
The answer is yes. The good guys win in my songs.
I kind of figured that.
They always win out in my songs. So eventually, but yes, there's messages of concern and information, but and definitely hope and fortitude. So yes, uh, it ends good.
Yeah, we
It
need
all
that right now.
yeah yeah.
It feels like we've went through a few years of it's just one thing after the other. We
Hmm.
need some good times, good feelings, some hope.
Yeah, we do. And I think whatever people are, whatever positive that people were doing and believing in before, we arrived at where we are because of the election result is more important than ever to continue with that, to do it.
Yeah,
Don't give up on your ideas. Don't give up on yourself.
that's right.
And
That's right.
and be the same. Be the same person. Be the person you want to be. And that's that great phrase is I love that phrase. My body, my choice. Well, my life, my choice.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good. I don't remember if I asked you last time you were on. Do you surf?
I do not surf. No,
Yeah. I just wondered since you were in Hawaii. I was like, maybe he picked it up.
it's too late for me to become a surfer. No, no, not at the. No.
I've always
You're-
enjoyed body surfing when I'm at the beach, but
I
standing up on that board, I've never been able to do it.
no, that's about the extent of my thing, body surfing too. But what I do enjoy is surf competitions is a big thing here in the
Oh
islands.
yeah,
People come from all over the world to do surf competitions here. And when you go into restaurants or a bar, especially like sports bars, instead of football games, they'll have football and whatever else is on, but there's like multiple screens with surf competitions on all the time. And that's really exciting to really watch. And a
I
friend
kind
of
of love
mine,
that. Is there
well,
a
a friend,
league? Do they have like a surfing league or is it
there's
just different competitions?
there's many different
Yeah,
competitions,
yeah, yeah.
but a friend of mine who works in a sports bar and is a surfer, he explained to me how they judge it. There's this whole strict way of like how you judge how well someone's surfing, how well
Yeah.
they rode the wave, and all this kind of stuff.
Well, that's
But
interesting.
I do enjoy watching it, but I will not be getting in there.
Well, I've watched, especially when the Olympics comes around, I've watched surfing. It's amazing. It's
Yeah,
crazy the things that they're able to do, but I have
yeah.
no idea how they're scoring
No.
any of that.
It's quite technical. It's interesting. It's interesting, but it's the technicality of you how well you rode the wave, how long you rode it, where you caught it at. It's all these different things. That's cool.
Have you ever tried your hand writing theater, like a musical type of thing?
I have not. I have not
Yeah,
ever
I'd
tried.
be interested if you could do that. And I'm sure you could, but
Yeah, the form could interest me. I've seen some theater pieces that I think are incredible. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
but
there's some good stuff and like unique, original stuff that's
mhm,
really good right now
mhm.
with stuff. Yeah, I'm just curious because yeah, I think your music's so unique and it's once you've heard your music, you can kind of recognize when it's you playing, and I love
Yeah,
that about it. So I think it would do really well with
I think that's something
music.
down the road that I could get into. You know, in the years coming up. You
That's
know.
right. That's right. I
Yeah.
one of these days I'll be in New York or somewhere and I'll see the musical up and I'll be like,
Well, when that happens, should that happen, you'll be amongst the first to know about it. I promise.
yeah, yeah, send me an invite. I'll show up.
Uh,
Well, David, thank you for taking a little bit of time with me today. I
oh,
always enjoy talking with you. You're one of my favorite
thanks,
musicians, and that's
thanks for having
hopefully it
me.
doesn't lessen
Thanks.
that coming from somebody that I'm pretty unmusical, but I enjoy music. If that makes sense. I've always been a fan of
That
yours.
means, everyone is musical in their own way. You don't have to be technically proficient. Music is in your spirit and your soul. The minute you enjoy it, you're in. That's it. You
I
don't have
kind
to
of
have a.
agree with that because
That's
even
it.
if you don't have any rhythm,
Yeah.
if you've got a terrible singing voice, whatever it is, you still
Mhm.
enjoy music when it comes on.
Absolutely.
It
Again,
still kind of gets you moving. It brings you up or it brings you down, depending on what the music is. But
but again,
everybody can enjoy it.
and that's why music is essentially it's transcendental. It transcends language. It transcends culture. Uh, it
Yeah, it really
transcends.
does.
I mean, you think about it. How could you could have a farmer in a Vietnam field who's like getting really moved by a song by, I don't know, Bruce Springsteen or Bob Dylan
Yeah,
or Melly. You don't even have to speak the language, but it will
yeah.
mean a lot to them. I met a lot of people in Europe and around the world who aren't proficient in English necessarily, but they love the song. They resonate with them.
Oh, that's great.
Well, what this about resonates with anyone beyond language. So,
Yeah, yeah.
no,
I know music. It kind of brings us together.
hmm
Yeah,
hmm
yeah.
yeah,
Before I let you go, David. So the current song out is "Why Must It Be So,"
got
and
it.
the one getting ready to come out in the next week or two is called what?
It's called "Now We Dream."
Oh, Now We Dream. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Very
Yeah,
good, very good. Any?
yeah.
I know you did some stuff with Bruce and the boys recently. Any plans to perform, play? work with them at anytime soon?
I can't say. I shouldn't say because I don't want to get in front of anyone about that. But I did, like I said, last year I did quite a bit of session work with Bruce,
Yeah.
and he may well want to do something in the future. I hope
Is it
so.
one of those that if he calls, you just be like, okay, we'll figure out a time?
Oh yeah, that's it. That's that kind of call, definitely.
It'd be like, ah, Bruce is calling. Okay, let me look at
Yeah,
my calendar.
exactly. Rearrange my calendar. No, absolutely. There are some people like that. If you get a call, Bruce is one of them. But there's a handful of people like that. Should you get that call, you
Yeah,
definitely want to.
you gotta go.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well,
great.
I've got friends in my life that it's different if they call. It's
Hmm.
like I'm pretty open to if somebody needs help, I'm going to help them. But there's
Yeah,
certain friends, if they call, I mean, it's a drop everything, go help.
there you go. There you go. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
David, thank you so much. Where can
Thank
we find you? Website, social
you.
media?
The place to find me is therealdavidsancious.com. And there's also an Instagram. We're on Facebook.
Yeah, I think it all
And
just comes up under your name.
yeah,
If you put your name in, it'll bring up the.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the best, most accurate place for information is the website, The Real David
Who
Sancious
does the
website.
website for you? I mean, do you have somebody
That,
working on it?
yes, we do. She's amazing. Her name
Yeah,
is
she does a
Nancy.
good job. That's a good website.
Yeah, her name is Nancy Lay Payne, and she is amazing. Relatively, I think we started working together last year sometime.
Yeah,
And that's a contact that came through my management,
yeah,
John McCracken Music Group. But she's awesome. She's really, really,
yeah. She's doing a good job because websites. Everybody thinks the hard part's making it, but the hard part's maintaining it.
maintaining that thing and being a presence on there in Big Barrel.
It gets
I
old quick. You gotta keep updating it. So yeah, she's doing good
recommend.
work.
Yeah,
David, thank you so much, and let's plan a trilogy at some point and do this again.
sounds great. Sounds great.
All
We'll
right,
be
David,
in.
hold on one second. You know, I started this podcast with Brett a little over 6 years ago. We started January of 2019. Technically, we started the summer of 2018, but we only did one episode, and it took us 6 months to kind of dissect that and figure out what adjustments we wanted to make before we rolled out the podcast. So 6 years since we came back. um, it still boggles my mind that I get to talk with amazing actors, musicians. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame musician, one of the best musicians of all time. Uh, it just boggles my mind that I get to talk with him, and he's terrific. He I love talking both interviews. I've really enjoyed talking about music with him because I'm not really musical, so kind of listening to him describe how the music affects him and how it kind of goes in and comes back out. Pretty interesting for me. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you're finding us for the first time, I've got good news for you. There's so many more episodes. We're closing in now on 1,000 episodes. We should hit that this summer, and you can find all of them, audio and video versions, on our website, meistercon.com. So please check us out there. But also check us out on our YouTube channel, MeisterCon Pod. If you go there, please subscribe. It's free. Really does help us to keep bringing these terrific guests on. So please check us out there, YouTube, MeisterCon Pod. David's new album is called The Ghost of Jim Crow. It should be out later this year. But in the meantime, he's putting out singles. The current one is Why Must It Be So? So make sure that you support David and check him out. And if you're around this summer, go see him in concert. I know we're going to be hitting New York later this year, and I'm hoping that we can catch David playing somewhere. So we'll keep an eye out. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.